Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Claw and the King podcast. I am so excited to be here today. It is an unbelievable day of sport. And yeah, there's just a lot going on at the moment. How are you feeling, my friend? Are you excited about a lot of off-season news in terms of NBA? A lot of, UFC news as well. There's a lot of your kind of alley in terms of sport. Now, football's not his biggest forte, which is obviously the biggest tournament in the world is going on.
But I'll bandwagon during the major tournaments.
Of course. Now, I thought we might start off a bit slower with a bit of basketball. Obviously, we'll ramp up with the football and the other sports later. Now, with the NBA free agency hitting and the NBA draft just happening, was there any sort of platform that you wanted to jump off first, the draft or some of the free agent news?
I think we can start with the draft and then we can move into some of the trades that have already happened, the free agency and stuff like that.
Okay.
The draft obviously happened the past 2 days. Most people are saying it's probably the weakest draft class, maybe in history.
Since 2013, I think a lot of... I mean, that 2013 was... I mean, if you look at the top of it, I mean, obviously Giannis and Gobert come out of it. Gobert maybe... Yeah, I nearly threw up just thinking about Gobert. The top of that draft was horrendous. I think it was Anthony Bennett 1, Oladipo 2, Otto Porter 3, Cody Zeller 4, Alex Len 5, Nerlens Noel 6... Ben McLemore 7.
Jeez, that's some ball knowledge right there.
Look, don't ever doubt my ball knowledge again. No, I think that draft was shocking, and it's not like those players all like
Oladipo was good,
underachieved. Oladipo was probably the shining light of that group. But I mean, a lot of those players were expected to perform like they did in the NBA, like that. It wasn't like those guys had superstar potential. So, and I think the best player in terms of longevity out of that group was Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who I think was 8. So yeah, it was a bit of an interesting draft, and I think it is the worst one since that one. Now, were there any shocks to you? Did you follow the draft at all?
Well, no. To be fair, I don't watch college. If they're not a high prospect, I'm not going to know who they are until they make the NBA.
You just don't have ball knowledge, mate.
The number one pick I saw average like 13 points or something.
Yeah, it was a classic. I think a lot of people were comparing it to the 2013 draft simply because the guy was like a carbon copy of what Otto Porter was coming out. Like just the most basic bitch prospect ever that doesn't excite you, isn't great at anything really. And I mean, Atlanta, what are they doing? They traded obviously DeJounte Murray, which is part of the free agency thing that we'll get into in a bit. But at the time, it's like Atlanta need a rebuild. Like they need, if there's any time to take a swing and a miss for Atlanta, who need another star player, it's now. Obviously,
Alex Sarr's probably the guy people are saying they should have taken.
Yeah, I think Sarr's definitely an option. He's obvious. I think a lot of people are scared about him as well because he doesn't have a great feel for the game. And look, centers don't.
So he could be a Kwame Brown.
Not a Kwame, maybe like a James Wiseman, almost. I think a lot of people were comparing him to him. Obviously, great athlete at his size, but never really has a feel for the game, which is what people are a bit concerned about with him. And look, at the top of this draft, I mean, when a 6'3" white guy gets drafted number 3 overall in a draft, it's a bit downhill in terms of quality. But he's actually probably the one that I would have taken first if I'm Atlanta.
Right.
Especially if they have in mind that they're trading DeJounte. He's a guy called Reed Shepherd who went 3rd to Houston, and off the bounce, he looks really athletic. He looks like he's a dead-eye shooter. I think he shot 52% from 3, and which is unbelievable efficiency. And he's like JJ Redick with like hops, which is like I mean, look, this draft you're not going to get friggin' LeBron James, but a JJ Redick with hops is a really good contributor. And if you're going to go floor guy, go with him.
Yeah, I guess.
But yeah, I was not happy with Atlanta's pick, and if I'm Atlanta, or Atlanta fan, sorry, I'm a bit disappointed.
But the whole draft in itself was weak. Obviously, the main talking point is the 55th pick, in which we took LeBron James Jr. So
Ronnie James,
yeah, and it just shows like if it was a strong class, he probably doesn't get drafted at all.
Well, I actually have a contrary belief. I think obviously Rich Paul was telling teams not to draft him. I think he would have probably got drafted in the 40s. Look, Bronny James gets a lot of flack.
He averaged 5 points in college.
I know, but this was a really weak class, and I mean, coming out of high school, the guy was like a top 15 prospect. No,
he was sought to be
a first round pick,
like lottery pick in
and
high
that's
school,
not just because he's LeBron's son. I mean, people were saying a year ago that LeBron would have to move teams in order to play with Bronny, and there wouldn't be an opportunity for the Lakers to draft him. So I think the Bronny James slander, I don't necessarily agree with. Obviously, he had a really rough year at USC, but I mean, that team was crap. The coach was crap. So I think it's actually a pretty good pickup from the Lakers. I think he probably would have gone in the 40s anyway.
And well, it does at least guarantee us that LeBron's coming back. Hopefully, I mean he's opted out of his contract. So, yeah. But all the talk is he's going to re-sign. Yeah, which is good news because we'd be screwed without him. But speaking of the Lakers, we can just analyze where the Lakers are at the moment. Obviously, we hired JJ Redick, professional podcaster, to be our head coach.
Yeah, how do you feel about that? I think we might have touched on it briefly on a previous podcast, but how do you...
Well, to keep it short and sweet, I think we're fucked. So...
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I can't see it working. We've hired a guy that has zero coaching experience apart from coaching his 8-year-old son, and we're expecting him to be able to coach the biggest franchise in the world with the biggest player in the league who he's friends with. He's just brought his son in. It's going to be the most heavily media-covered team maybe ever. We'll see. But it's a massive ask for a rookie coach. What's the UConn guy's name?
Dan Hurley.
Dan Hurley. If he was the Messiah and the best coach out there, how can we not afford to pay? And it was a money issue. We couldn't afford to pay. We're the Los Angeles Lakers, a multi-billion-dollar organization, and we can't pay this guy a couple of extra $1 million. The Detroit Pistons just paid Monty Williams that much money, and they fired him after a year, and they're just paying him the rest of it for doing nothing. The Pistons are
paying Monty Williams more money not to coach than the Lakers offered Dan Hurley to coach.
Yeah. Like, come on. And now we're settling for JJ Redick, and it's like, oh, he wowed us in the interview room. I mean, the dude can talk nice, okay? That's what he's famous for, but...
Yeah, I think you're a bit too passionate about missing out on Dan Hurley. And I think...
Well, I think we should have got Monty Williams at that point.
Maybe. But look, I think with LeBron, I think this hire is with LeBron in mind. Now, do I think JJ Redick will have any sort of lifetime in LA outside of, or when LeBron retires or leaves or whatever? No. However, with LeBron currently as the head honcho of that team, I have... you right there, buddy? Your
throat's just a bit
ticklish. Anyway, yeah, with JJ Redick as the coach and LeBron as the head honcho of that team, I actually quite like this. I think the communication between head coach and also the respect between head coach and star player will be there. And I think he'll be sort of a...
But I just don't see LeBron... If JJ Redick is like, dude, you need to do this and needs to have a hard conversation with him, I don't see LeBron taking that seriously.
Yeah. Well, look,
he's younger than him.
Well, but, I mean, there's been a lot of first-time coaches that have somewhat worked out in the NBA. Everyone has to be a first-time coach, and a lot of former players that turn into head coaches, you know, were first-time head coaches. They never went through the assistant coach route, you know? So I don't think it's that bad of a hire, especially with the team as it currently is. I think you're screwed anyway. I think there's no chance that... I mean...
D'Lo he opted in yesterday, I think.
Yeah, so you've got no money to do anything. It's just...
We're going to have the exact same team, bar the draft picks coming in.
Yeah, so it's just going to be how it is. You're going to be a playoff team, fringe playoff, play-in team, and that's just how it is. So I don't hate the hire at all. I think he'll be quite good vibes in there. I think he'll be a good environment for... a good environment for like a younger players to develop. If you see any talented ones that you draft or you drafted last year or this year or whatever. But I honestly think that it was a pretty smart hire in the end. I don't think Dan Hurley, unless you offered him 150 mil, I don't think he would have come. And the Lakers throughout, I mean, the past couple of years have been really frugal with coaches. I mean, what was it? Ty Lue, they wouldn't offer a 5-year deal to when LeBron was first there, I believe. So, or first got there, and they hired Frank Vogel instead. So I think they're very frugal and they're very, how do I say it? It's very much a coaching carousel with that Lakers position. So I don't necessarily hate the JJ Redick position. I like JJ Redick. Obviously, he's a former Clipper. He's a good player for us, and I think he's a very smart guy. So
he better have some insane plays drawn up. Like, that's his whole thing, is that he's just such an insanely high IQ basketball mind. He's better have these incredible schemes that no one can see coming and all this sort of stuff.
I don't get why you're so I mean, like, as a Clippers fan, there is zero chance that we do anything next year. So I'm just like, whatever. Whatever happens. There is no chance that any of our teams get past Denver, get past the Mavs, get past OKC.
You want them to do as best as possible, regardless.
Yeah, but a lot you do, but you do understand if they don't. So, yeah, look, I think it was a solid hire. I don't hate the hire. And yeah, he's obviously I thought he had a good first press conference as well. So,
well, yeah, everyone was just off their head that he said the F word.
I think he's that kind of guy, though. I think he'll get respect in a different way than other head coaches. I think he will be almost like a player coach, almost like a guy that you respect. And look, LeBron respects him. So if you don't respect JJ Redick, LeBron's going to come right at your fucking throat. So I don't hate it at all. I think it would be a sort of a team effort in terms of the control of that team between LeBron and JJ. And yeah, I think it's a good move by the Lakers. Now, obviously, a bit of trading and free agency news. Is there a sort of jumping point that you'd like to go off?
Well, I think we'll just go through in order of what happened. So the first trade was obviously Josh Giddey going to the Chicago Bulls from the OKC Thunder. Just a straight-up one-for-one trade. Never see those anymore. But everyone's saying, really, Chicago absolutely fumbled that. And
really? I'm on the opposite.
I don't think I've seen one person say Chicago won that.
I'm on the complete opposite. If you're Chicago, right, you're like, well, what the fuck do we have here? We have Vucevic, who's crap. We have Zach LaVine, who's injured or overpaid when he plays. You've got DeMar DeRozan, who's a fossil at this point, literally. You've got no real good young talent.
You've got Lonzo Ball coming back.
Lonzo Ball. I forgot about Lonzo. The guy just hasn't walked for about 5 years. The only good, okay, like young player that the Bulls fans actually like is Dosunmu.
Kobe White.
Kobe White he's not young though. He's like 28.
Is he?
No, I think he came in pretty young. But he was drafted fucking 7 years ago.
He was drafted like 4 years ago, wasn't he?
No, he wasn't. There's no chance. He came in the same draft as like Cam Johnson.
I swear he was in the Zion draft class.
Was he? They all muddle together when you get older. Anyway, I have zero hatred for the Bulls for making this move. They have no young talent coming through. None. So I think Josh Giddey had a bad year last year, but his rookie year was really, really, really. I mean, I thought from obviously an Australian fan, I thought it was really, really promising. He obviously is a great ball handler. He can pass the ball. And I think last year, obviously with the off the field or off the court drama, I think that contributed to it. I think the mental aspect contributed to it. And I think the fact that OKC got so much better and they had a lot of great talent that hogged the ball almost. Now, Josh Giddey's at his best when he's working with the ball and he's creating things and he's, sometimes maybe Shea has the ball and he's cutting back door or whatever. But I think he's a very ball-dominant guard. And he's very good in that. But when you ask him to shoot off ball and be a corner three specialist, I just don't think that's his game. So I think for the Bulls, you're getting a young, talented guard when Lonzo's hasn't played for 5 years and DeMar DeRozan's a fossil and he plays power forward now. And Zach LaVine's 1 foot out the door anyway. So I don't hate it at all. And they're giving up Caruso. I like Caruso. Very good player. But what does he bring to the Bulls right now? He's a winning basketball player. He is a great role player that would be great on the Thunder. So I don't hate the move for the Thunder. But, I mean, what is he going to add 3 wins to a 33-win team, Chicago Bulls team? I don't know what he brings you. So I think it was a good move to get a 21-year-old young star who was really, really promising his rookie year.
Yeah, well, he was promising his rookie year, but obviously the second year did take a step back. A lot of that was because he had the ball in his hands a lot less.
Yeah.
And he can't play off ball, which is not a great thing in today's league. You kind of have to be able to shoot as a smaller player. But And in Chicago, he'll have the ball, but if Lonzo does come back, Lonzo Ball, and he's healthy, Lonzo Ball is a better player than Josh Giddey. And
I think they can play together. I think Lonzo Ball has developed into an off-the-ball player.
Yeah, he did, but he is still a point guard at the end of the day. And yeah, Caruso, I think the main argument was, yeah, he's not going to be a franchise guy that can take Chicago to the playoffs or a contender or whatever, but he's a very valuable role player that they could have got more for in terms of picks or other assets. Well, apparently he was highly sought after. So I think Chicago fans were just looking for more in return than just Josh Giddey, who potentially could be a decent player.
I think Chicago are in the position that you've got to take as many swings as possible. And home run swings, not just fucking some little pig dribbler.
Well, yeah, I mean, Chicago, they've been notorious for not trading their players. Like, apparently they had a first-round pick for Drummond on the table last year, and they didn't take it. Now Drummond's obviously, I think he's going to walk in free agency, but we'll see. And LaVine...
Extending Vucevic as well.
Vucevic. LaVine has been on the trade block for 3 years, and they haven't been able to get a deal done. DeRozan, I think he's a free agent now, so he can just walk. So they're not looking good, really, the Bulls.
No, they're in the pits, and that's why I don't hate this move. Like, if you're going to get a first... Like, I trust Josh Giddey's development and Josh Giddey's talent that I've seen, especially in his rookie year, over the Bulls drafting somebody with, the 18th pick. I have more faith in Josh Giddey than an 18th pick that's made by the Bulls right now. So, when you sort of sum up the options, I think getting he's 21 years old. Like, I can't stress this enough. I think he's actually probably on a track to be a potential all-star one day. And that may be a bit of a weird thing to say, but I think the public perception of Josh Giddey has waned because of the playoffs and the fact that he was targeted against the Mavs. And I get it. He's not a good, he's not a good off-the-ball player. But I think he can develop it in his game. I don't think it's completely gone from him. I just think he's very dominant when he's ball heavy. And look, I think in Chicago he'll get opportunity, and I like the move for Chicago.
Yeah, and look, I'm wishing him all the best. Obviously, we want to see all the Australian boys do well, apart from Ben Simmons, but all the others, we want them to do well.
What about Kyrie?
Yeah.
You want Kyrie to do well? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Kyrie's had his redemption arc.
Yeah. Like. Anyway.
Next move was the Knicks getting Mikal Bridges. Big move, reuniting
very big
the entire college team.
Very huge. Sorry, that was my Trump impression.
I think, and everyone's forgetting they still got Randall on this team as well. So they're probably second in the East now, maybe third.
Look, this move has probably been talked about for the Knicks for a while now. There isn't a player that fits what the Knicks want to do more than Mikal Bridges. The guy is never injured, plays every game.
Yeah, true.
And is from Villanova and is an extremely hard worker, both offensively and defensively. And he's got some offensive talent as well. And I think Brooklyn last year were an absolute joke. And it was almost Cam Thomas just shooting from half court every game. So he didn't really have an opportunity, I felt, to show the promise that he did when he first got to Brooklyn and show that this guy isn't just a 3-and-D player. He's got a mid-range. He's got a fadeaway. He's got some moves in his locker. So I like the acquisition. However, the price is unreal.
It was like 6 picks.
I think it was 5 first-round picks, which is crazy for Mikal. Mikal Bridges showed real promise in Brooklyn, but you pay that for Joel Embiid.
Isn't that what...
if you get Joel Embiid, that's what you pay.
Isn't that what Phoenix gave to Brooklyn for Durant?
Yeah. Oh, might have been less. It might have been 4. I can't exactly remember that deal, but he's not on Durant's level. He's not on a Joel Embiid's level. And I get Mikal Bridges probably fits them better than anyone in the league, but are you really giving up that much to get Mikal Bridges?
And I don't think there was...
make you a contender
I don't think there was people bidding against you for Bridges, really.
Oh, I think there was
maybe
probably...
a couple, but...
Yeah, there was probably interest, but I don't think anyone would have gone... I think Brooklyn knew that no one was going to be as desperate for Mikal Bridges as New York. Because New York knew they had to add talent to that team. And, yeah, I think they kind of realised that, look, New York's going to give us the most, so let's just wait out until New York can give us their best offer. And obviously, 5 first-round picks is a very good offer. So I think Brooklyn, obviously going nowhere, so they weren't going to retain him whenever he becomes a free agent. So, I don't hate the move. They also obviously extended OG Anunoby as well. $212 million, which is a lot for OG, but he impacted winning for them. So I'd be shocked if Randall stays on the team, if I'm honest.
Really?
I don't know where he plays. Is he a six man? I mean,
a six man.
I mean, who do you play?
He's gone from the one option last year to the bench.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, Brunson, Hart, OG, obviously Mikal Bridges, and if they have a Mitchell Robinson or Hartenstein, if they extend him. I mean, where does Randall play small ball 5? I mean, what's the option there?
Well, you probably play him 4, and then
what? OG's on the bench, $212 million to be a six man.
Or does Hart go back to the bench?
Hart played 40 minutes every game last year.
Yeah, but they did have 6 available players by the end.
But I think Josh Hart and DiVincenzo is another guy as well who really shone for the Knicks last year.
So they've gone from just having no depth to all the depth. So
yeah,
but we are forgetting they'll all be injured by the end of the year because they play every sweat dripping minute of every game.
Mikal Bridges is never. I mean, knock on wood, he doesn't get injured. Obviously, don't.
Well, this will test that theory.
Yeah, this will 100% test the theory that he's never missed a game since high school. So yeah, I think it'll be an interesting one. But I don't hate the move from the Knicks, but it's a very steep price to pay.
Yeah, and look, the Knicks are an interesting team now. Normally, I'm just like, they're average. They're going to lose in the playoffs. But
yeah,
this year
they could beat Celtics. I reckon.
Yeah, potentially. I wouldn't pick them, but potentially
I would.
Okay. Then I believe this happened yesterday or early morning. New Orleans get DeJounte Murray. We touched on it before. Atlanta are breaking up the backcourt of Trae Young and DeJounte Murray. Obviously, it never really worked in Atlanta with those two guys. They couldn't get on the same page. New Orleans adding another star player. It's a nice roster they've got now, but I don't know. It doesn't really get them over the hump in my opinion. Obviously, Zion is still the key, and he's always injured, so there's not much they can do there. But they didn't give up CJ. They didn't give up Ingram. They didn't give up.
Ingram's gone, but yeah,
is he?
Yeah, he's essentially gone.
I thought they were like talking about a contract.
I doubt that he will stay. I doubt. What do you think of the move? Do you rate it from Atlanta's perspective? Now, obviously, Trae Young was sort of. It was either. I think the sort of media consensus was either Trae Young's going or DeJounte's going. Neither of them are staying, or one of them's staying, one of them's going. Both of them are gone. What do you rate of them choosing to keep Trae Young over DeJounte?
I think Trae Young is, even though he gets a lot of stick defensively and he does suck defensively, he is very good on offense when he's got it going. And I feel like he has a higher ceiling than DeJounte Murray does. But they're almost the opposite of each other. DeJounte Murray can be a brick on offense, but he's really good defensively. Trae Young, really good on offense. Sucks
that's why everyone thought that they'd work. They're very good conflicting players, but just
didn't
to gel. Yeah,
just didn't. Obviously, Atlanta, they got Dyson Daniels in that trade, and I think Larry Nance as well, and a few picks. So it's not a great haul for an all-star level player, but Dyson Daniels is a guy with potential. He's pretty good defensively already, and he looks like he can be a nice wing player in the NBA. But Atlanta, they're still not really going anywhere for me. I don't see how they get to that next level.
They drafted the number 1 player in the draft.
Oh, true. They did do that. Completely forgot they even had the number 1 pick. But yeah, I just don't. Trae Young, he's a good player, but is he ever going to be on a championship level team? I don't really think so as a number 1 option.
No, I don't think so either, and that's why you've got to take a bigger risk with the number 1 pick, in my opinion. You've got to take a guy that shows more promising traits, I'd say. But look, I don't hate the move of getting DeJounte out instead of Trae, but I think if you want to build an identity, and with the team that they've already got, I think DeJounte fits a bit more with that Atlanta team. I think, obviously, you got guys like DeAndre Hunter, Okongwu. Like, you've got very tough, not flexible as in, like, they can stretch their legs. I mean, flexible, like, they can play multiple positions, defensive guys. And I think if you want to build that identity of a really good defensive team, then Trae Young just kind of mitigates any of that progress that you want to make defensively. So I get it. They drafted him instead of Luka. They think he's their franchise guy, but it's a tough one.
That's a decision that's got to be talked about.
Well, look, initially people said that Trae Young, it was the most equal trade in history because of how
even
Trae
after
Young
the first
was early on.
year or two, people were saying that, but yeah, obviously not equal anymore.
No, not at all. Look, it was kind of a mid move, if I'm honest. I think obviously New Orleans. Yeah, I mean, this is just. I mean, how many trades like this can New Orleans make? I mean, CJ McCollum, they just trade for like the most fringe all-star level players in history, and they just hope that if they collect all the fringe all-stars that they'll make a championship team. But
you never know.
Now Zion Williamson is actually being sort of talked about as out the door. Like,
really?
They're talking about trades. Would you move on from Zion at this point?
Well, it depends what you're going to get in return. I don't think his stock would be crazy high at the moment. So,
but would it get any higher though? Because he has obvious flaws within his game, and injuries have played a part in sort of his stumbling in terms of development. But could you see him becoming, what he was meant to be when he came into the league?
Yeah, no, I can't see him because when he came into the league, he was meant to be the best thing since LeBron, and I cannot see him achieving that.
No,
so. I think he can be a very good player, for sure. When he's been on the floor, he's been very good. Obviously, he can't shoot, which is a bit of an issue, but he hasn't really needed to because he can just bulldoze into the paint, and he gets like offensive rebounds every time he misses the layup anyway. So, it's tough. It's tough. Do I think he can be the best player on a championship team? Probably not. I don't think his game is quite diverse enough when it comes to playmaking, and he'll probably just get walled in the playoffs like Giannis did early on. But he is very good. He's an all-star level player when he plays. Probably second team All-NBA, that good potentially. I'd probably be holding on to him at this point just because unless someone's going to give you a superstar in return, but I don't see anyone offering that at the moment. Like maybe a Jaylen Brown type of player. But I don't see...
Okay, so a free agent that's come up, and we might touch on it a bit later, but a guy like Paul George, if in a sign and trade,
no,
you're not doing that.
Fuck no. Okay. 2 years of prime Paul George versus a 23-year-old Zion.
But I mean, Zion, how long is he going to play for?
More than 2 years, probably.
Look, it's just something I threw out there as a Clippers fan, maybe get some good return back. No, I don't hate them keeping Zion, but I do think it is time to sort of open the trade talks. Answer the phone when it comes in for Zion.
Yeah, I'd be listening.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be quick to accept unless it's something very good.
Fair play.
But yeah, we can move on to the Clippers now. They're sort of the last team with things in talk. Paul George opted out this morning of his deal. Mm-hmm. So it's looking like the talk is the Clippers have offered him 3 years. He wants the full 4-year max.
Yeah.
I think it's smart by the Clippers to not offer him it. He doesn't deserve it.
I don't think Kawhi or Paul George deserves anything from the Clippers, if I'm honest. However, the way that the picks are set up, we will not have our pick until that 3 years comes up. I think it is 3 years. So I think in 2027 is the last year that we don't have our pick. I don't know. But essentially, it's a bit of a case of, well, we dug this hole for ourselves. We might as well be as good as we can because we don't have any reason to tank.
Well, I think they're trying to call his bluff because really it's Philly who can offer him the full max and no one else unless he wants to go to San Antonio or some shit.
Yeah, or Orlando.
Yeah. So it's Philly or a sign and trade or he signs with the Clippers.
The rumors are coming out he doesn't want to go to Philly. Like he wants to stay on the West Coast. And I think he was sort of hoping for the Warriors thing to sort of to have a bit of progression to it, but it just never did.
Well, I think because Chris Paul, they've delayed the date on Chris Paul, whether he opts in or out. So obviously because they just have so much salary, the Warriors, and then Klay Thompson as well. If he re-signs, they're going to be loaded. So it just depends. If they don't re-sign Klay and get rid of CP, then they could potentially get Paul George. But
it's an interesting one from Paul George. If you're that, I mean, how much money have you made in your career?
Yeah,
and you're that hell-bent.
Exactly.
you're gonna uproot your family. You're gonna move to Philadelphia. Like, I just don't buy. Like, I can't see it. Like, I can't see you're moving your whole family to Philadelphia because the Clippers, even though they offered probably the same money that the 76ers did, they just offered you one less year on the contract. And it's not like it's a 1 year deal in comparison to a 4 year deal. And you're like 35 and you're like, fuck, I need to get as much money as I can. It's a 3 year deal in comparison to a 4 year deal when you've already made probably hundreds of millions of dollars.
Like you got to be coming up on half a billy soon here.
Yeah,
like I think you're all right there.
Yeah, you've had the most successful or one of the most successful shoe deals in history. I mean, everyone. I mean, especially when I was playing basketball when I was in high school, everyone was wearing your shoes. So I think it's a bit bizarre that he's kind of got this kind of sort of stubbornness about him.
P-Money, they call him.
Well, it's bizarre how Kawhi took less money to stay.
But they did give him the 4 year.
Yeah, but he's also younger. I think that was part of it. So I think Kawhi was, 32 when he signed that 4 year deal, which takes him to 36. I think Paul George is now 34, I believe, somewhere around there. So are you paying a guy that's injury prone like the max until he's 38 years old? I think that's what they're probably thinking. But look,
for sure, it's not smart to give him a 4 year max.
But I think they're just shocked about it because I think it was sort of a given that they thought he'd return to the Clippers on a 4 year deal, or Paul George camp was that he'd return to the Clippers on a 4 year deal. But
mate, they got to be realistic. The dude has been injured every single year.
I am 100% on the train of I would have let him, Kawhi, I would let the whole team walk if we had the picks. I would completely tear down. However, we don't. So there is no point unless we're trading for. Now I've seen obviously with the Warriors sort of trade ideas that have been popped up in the media. Like if it was a Kuminga swap in there, I wouldn't hate that.
Kuminga and Wiggins.
You do that? Wiggins to make the money work or whatever, or a Chris Paul to make the money, whatever it is.
You take Chris Paul back.
Well, yeah, it's just to make the money work. I don't want Wiggins either, mate. So
I'd rather him to Chris Paul.
Oh no, I'd rather Chris Paul just for the nostalgia. So yeah, I respect the Lawrence Frank, the GM of the Clippers, being this stubborn about it. However, if I'm in that position, I'm kind of like, well, look, if we still have our pick and we're paying Paul George and Kawhi ridiculous amounts of money for them to be crap and injured, then it's whatever, because it's worth it just for my mental sake, not giving the Thunder like 2 top 3 picks.
Yeah, true, I guess. Westbrook as well. He just opted in. So
yeah, he did. I thought, well, apparently the Clippers wanted him. Like, the Clippers were putting out that Westbrook wouldn't be on the team any longer, and then Westbrook was like, hold on.
I quite like this.
I'm saying, so yeah, great, got Westbrook back. It's funny how the Clippers have just compiled all the players that I disliked when they were on other teams on my team. James Harden, couldn't stand him at the Rockets.
He's free agent now, isn't he?
No, well, I don't think he's a free agent.
Restricted?
I'm not too sure, but I think he is going to be extended. I think that's sort of the news coming out. James Harden and Westbrook, I disliked them, or in terms of a neutral fan watching them play, it was the most disgusting thing I'd ever seen in basketball. How James Harden would hook players and just shoot 30 free throws a game, then Westbrook would just fucking crash into a bunch of players and just somehow make it. It's a bit of a bizarre one, but I don't know what to think of this team right now. I think if Paul George goes, I don't know who starts in that wing position. Terrence Mann, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, hopefully, I'd want Paul George to resign. But
didn't you draft Max Christie's brother?
We did with the 46th pick. Cam Christie is Eddie. Apparently, was a pretty good prospect, so I don't hate that pick at all. So hopefully, he's the next great Clipper. And obviously, with the new, did you see the new branding on the draft? Because you know how we changed our branding,
the logo.
Yeah. I'm a big fan. I do like it.
What is it?
It's a Clipper ship.
It's a ship.
Yeah. It makes sense. It's just it's a bit of an identity.
The Clippers are boats.
Yeah. Have you not heard of a Clipper ship?
Not really.
So but I like it. It's a bit of identity.
Right.
The other one, it's just like, what is it? LA in a basketball? Like, what is that? I don't know what that is. So yeah,
a lot of the NBA teams, like, what is a Laker?
Someone that lives on a lake. It was from Minnesota, because you started in Minnesota, didn't you? So
Right.
there's a lot of lakes in Minnesota. Yeah, there's a lot of lakes in Minnesota. So when
And a Clipper. There's just strange names to call your franchise.
it is very strange, but I like it. I think you want a bit of individuality. You don't want the Arkansas Generals or like the Bulldogs or I don't know, the Titans. I don't know, some generic name that's just every team from every league uses. I do like a bit of individuality, so I don't hate the Clippers name, the Lakers. Timberwolves is a bit of a cool one in my opinion. The Heat. I mean, the NBA has probably got the coolest names in my opinion. Trailblazers. That's a wild one.
Trailblazers.
That's a weird one. The Knicks. What is a Knick?
I don't know. What are these? What's a Celtic? Is a little Irish thing?
Yeah, a Celtic. Yeah, which is a cool. I mean, the worst one is by far the Nets. God, that's fucking bad. The Brooklyn Nets.
But I don't think it's a literal net.
It is. It's literal the basketball net. Yes.
Right.
Well, what's something cool in basketball? The net. Great. Anyway.
Someone should be called the Rims.
Yes. That's not your team. Anyway, moving on. Did you want to move on to a bit of... what sort of sport did you want to move on to next?
We can go Euros.
Euros? Well, look. The Euros, England have played crap so far. However... we've somehow scammed our way into the easiest draw ever, so I won't complain. We've got, I believe, Slovakia tomorrow morning, so that will be interesting. Hopefully we can get past that, and then I believe we're playing the Swiss if we get past that. I'm not...
Yeah,
don't fact check me on
Switzerland just beat Italy this morning.
Yeah, so, which I actually predicted in the tournament predictor thingy, so...
Right, there you go. How
good
smart.
on me.
But Italy are kind of shit, so... I know they're the defending champs, but...
Yeah, they were crap. They were just as crap as England, and Swiss, they've got some good players in there. I think it's a bit underrated, the players that they've got, so good team, and yeah, they look pretty good against Italy, and then Germany, I believe.
They went through, yeah.
They went through against Denmark. A couple of controversial decisions, but I think Germany were always probably going to get through, and you want that side to... because, I mean, the other side of the draw is going to be insane, the quarterfinals. I think might be Germany, Spain, France, Portugal. But those it might be in a different order, but those are the four teams that are probably going to get through. So those quarterfinal matches are going to be insane. So yeah, I think it's an interesting one. We've got maybe the Netherlands is going to be our toughest one, but we'd only face them in the semis, I think. So
right. Yeah, well, England have been the main talking point.
Yeah,
with how shit they've looked, but even though they've somehow topped the group, just looking awful.
Yeah,
Harry Kane's got a lot of criticism, I feel like. Southgate, obviously, the majority of it. The Calvin Phillips comment was a little bit alarming.
Bizarre, yeah.
But
it's like, yeah, what's another comparison to that? It's like Doc Rivers saying, I've missed
Luke Mbamute.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, we lost Luke Mbamute. We couldn't win. Yeah, it's a bit bizarre. Like, the worst player in the England team is he's not in there, like, he's not in there for injury. He was not in the team because he's crap now. Like, he couldn't physically get picked because he's that bad. So yeah, it's a bit of a bizarre one. The balance in the midfield is a problem, I think, obviously. Foden isn't good off the left, or hasn't looked good off the left. But I think it comes down to tactics. I think the way that we're playing is so boring. Now, look, it does have its benefits. I think by a country mile, we've conceded the least amount of expected goals, which obviously in a tournament-style football, that's how you win. You concede minimal chances, and you
but you got to score them as well.
Scam goals, and look, that's how we've made it far in a lot of tournaments. So I won't harp on him being out. A lot of people are sort of saying that he should be sacked mid-tournament, which is a bit bizarre because
has that ever happened?
Yeah, it has. I can't remember the team. It was a low down team, but it was in some international competition, and he got fired. I think it was Cote d'Ivoire. It might have been Africa Cup of Nations or whatever, and he got sacked mid-tournament. I mean, I think the people that say that lack perspective on how bad England have been in past years.
Well, that's what gets Southgate through, is that he's been very successful in these tournaments.
Well, he's in terms of success, we've never had this sort of run of success. I mean, is it success if you're not winning? But that's the question. But I think reasonable success in terms of how far we're progressing in tournaments, and we haven't done this probably since the 60s. We haven't. I mean, the consistency. We went semi-final, final, and then quarter-final. So I think, look, if he loses, if he doesn't win the Euros, I think he should definitely be out. But I wouldn't sack him mid-tournament, and I think you got to get behind him, and you got to get behind the team, and hopefully we can sort of push through and somehow win the Euros and football come home. But
yeah. Well, I feel like a lot of the teams are looking dodgy. Like France hasn't been dominant.
Yeah, France hasn't looked good. I think the best looking teams, in my opinion, are Germany and Spain. So that'll be a really interesting one to see which one progresses outside of that sort of side of the bracket. So yeah, I'm pretty intrigued with that one. But yeah, I think England have got probably the easiest draw that we've had in terms of a road to a final. Now, we had a really favourable one, I believe. Was it World Cup? I think we had maybe Sweden round of 16, and then no, we had Colombia round of 16, Sweden quarterfinals, and then obviously we lost to Croatia in the semis in 2018. So that was a pretty favourable one that we couldn't get past, which was great. You remember that fondly, obviously, and then
yes.
So yeah, I think obviously I hope that England can get through, but it's just gonna be a tough one with the way we're playing. I don't have a lot of hope, but hopefully we do push through.
Are you gonna watch tomorrow?
No.
No.
I'm not watching England Slovakia because if we win, cool. But if we lose, I'm not sacrificing my sleep in that day for us to lose to Slovakia in the round of 16 of the Euros. Yeah, it's tough for Australia. Obviously that might sound a bit bad, but I am a staunch England fan. But it's just tough. It's really tough to watch. Look,
if Australia were in it, I'd be up.
Yeah, but Australia are crap at football, so it doesn't make any difference. But it's a really tough sort of time period for us. 5 o'clock in the morning and 2 o'clock in the morning is just horrendous. So yeah, hopefully we do push through though.
Well, I'm going for Portugal now. They're my team. Yeah,
cheeky.
Just want to see Ronaldo win it again. Even though everyone's saying he shouldn't even be in the team, but
yeah,
bad luck, mate. He's in there.
He is in there.
He's in there. Is there anything else in football? Any other
nothing major at the moment.
signings or anything?
Transfer sort of news popping about, but there isn't anything major. Obviously, with the Euros happening, there isn't sort of major news, especially in terms of Man United. There isn't major news. I think we're looking at De Ligt at the moment, the centre back from Juventus. We almost got him when he was 19 and like the best touted centre back in the world from Ajax, but then we didn't, which was great. He's not at Juventus now. He's at Bayern. I forgot. He moved from Juventus to Bayern. Hasn't really panned out his career how he'd probably hoped, but look, he's
the place where you save careers, Manchester United.
The place where you develop young players is Manchester United. So that's great.
About football in general, obviously the Olympics are coming up next month. I don't understand why the men don't go to the Olympics.
Because it's amateur.
I know, but why is it amateur?
Because it is.
Wouldn't it be sick if all the best players went to the Olympics?
I agree, but there's so much it does right now. There's European competition. There's Copa America on. It would never feasibly work. I think.
Yeah, well, you'd have to reschedule the years for those tournaments, but
I can't remember what the exact rule is because it has changed. I believe it was 3. You could have 3 professional players. Because I remember Neymar played.
Went.
I don't exactly know how it works, but I just know that no professional footballer wants to play in it if they're of any quality.
But except Neymar. And I'm pretty sure they won the gold.
But Neymar only did it because it was in Brazil, and it was
but I'm pretty sure because the women obviously it's a massive tournament for them, and they all go. And obviously it's been a big thing about the Matildas going to the Olympics now, which is very topical in Australia. But the men don't go for some reason, and I understand they've got the World Cup, they've got the Euros, Copa America, whatever your local tournament is. And they play essentially year-round club football anyway. So it's a lot of football, but I just think it would be sick to see them all go to the Olympics. And they're the one sport, really, that doesn't send the best to the Olympics.
Yeah, look, that's fair. But football's a bit different, I think, with the amount of international competition. I mean, they're already stretched as far. I mean, you look at something. It's funny when you have off seasons and you're able to compare the length of football off season in comparison to like other sports, like NFL. They haven't played since. I mean, how long ago was the Super Bowl? Was it early Feb that the Super Bowl was? They won't play until like September. Like they've still got months. They're still in training. They're not even in training camp yet. They haven't even played preseason yet. Football starts in August. It's July. It ended like 3 weeks ago. It's ridiculous, the short turnaround that football has in comparison to other sports. And then in between, when they've got that short off season, they've got either Euros, World Cup, friendlies. They've got other games to play. So I think it's football's so oversaturated with major competitions that it's kind of hard to say, hey, here's the Olympics, and get excited about the Olympics. But yeah, I think it'd be a cool idea to sort of maybe you limit the friendlies that you have and make the Olympics a bigger thing and make it, you've got to have 5 professional top division players play for your country. I don't hate that.
Yeah. Have you seen the medals?
No.
The Olympics? They've got like a little piece of the Eiffel Tower embedded in them.
Oh God, the French. Oh, ever humble, the French. Always talking about their fucking tower cool. Like it's the best thing since sliced bread.
Well, it is one of the most famous towers in the world.
Yeah, it got conquered twice though, didn't it? So how good are they? No, the French. God, I can't stand them.
You can't stand the French?
No. Especially the Parisian.
How many French people do you know?
You. That's all I need. The Parisian French are unbearable. Like, you went to France recently. South of France, countryside France, probably beautiful place. Beautiful, calm, peaceful, very good place. However, I can't imagine a place I'd less rather go to than Paris.
Really? In the whole world?
What is there? Name a city that you'd rather go to that you think Paris is better than?
Like Afghanistan.
That's the country.
Well, a city in Afghanistan.
Okay, in a first world country.
Look, I'd rather go to Paris than a lot of American cities.
No, that's bullshit. There's no way. There's no way.
Like,
you'd rather go to Paris than New York. Is that what you're saying?
No.
LA.
Some American cities.
LA's crap as well. I will say.
Like, Idaho.
I'd rather go to Idaho. 100% rather go to Idaho. I'd rather go to Kentucky.
But Paris has
I'd rather go to Alabama. I'd rather go to, you name it, Alaska. I'd rather go to so many other places.
No.
I'd rather go to, I could name every country in Europe I'd rather go.
Rio? I'd rather go to Paris than Rio.
No, you'd rather go to Paris than Brazil. Are you off your head? Brazil is sick. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of poverty, but still, it'd be a sick place to go. You're just not cultured enough. You need to go to South America.
Oh, really?
Did I tell you that I went to South America, by the way?
Yeah,
yeah, it's a great place.
I've never been there, though.
Yeah, you're just not cultured enough, unfortunately. Anyway.
I tried to go. They didn't let me in.
Paris sucks. I don't know why you're defending Paris.
Well, it's just...
It's expensive.
It's good for a holiday to see the landmarks.
It's full of refugees.
You don't want to live there, but...
crap. It's dirty.
It's full of elite athletes.
When the Olympics are on, but when the Olympics go, it's not going to be full of elite athletes.
All the footballers come out of there.
What do you mean? They're on the street playing with a friggin' rubbish paper bag.
Yeah, and then they turn into Mbappe.
Yeah, but what I'm just going to sit and watch some poor little refugee that's just has one slice of bread in the past 2 weeks.
Yes, it's called scouting, mate.
Oh God, yeah, you like to look. Wow, that's it's a bit weird looking at random 12-year-olds. But anyway,
how else do you scout?
You don't stare at a random refugee 12-year-old on the street.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe they're on a field,
and they'll pickpocket. It's just so bad. It's so bad.
In all of Europe, the pickpockets are fucked. Like Italy,
It's not as bad as Paris. I can guarantee you, it is the worst city.
They got the Champs-Élysées there.
Yeah, and that's the thing. The good places in France, no one can afford unless you're a billionaire. So it's okay. It's great for billionaires and refugees. That's it. So
yeah,
it's a crap city. It is horrendous.
Look, I wouldn't want to live there for sure.
I wouldn't want to step foot in it.
But for a couple...
If I had to do a connecting flight through Paris, I'd say no.
What if your girlfriend's like, I want you to propose to me in Paris?
I'd say...
There's a lot of girls
you can
like
keep
that
dreaming.
shit.
You can keep dreaming. Absolutely. There is zero chance I ever go to Paris. Zero.
Have you ever been?
No. Oh, no, I have. When I was like... I think I went to Disneyland Paris.
You've never really been with memories of it?
No. But I know
but
it's
you
crap.
have this opinion?
Yes.
Right.
It's absolute crap. If you try and find any tourist that's been to Paris that says good things about it, that's not filled with money, find one. Please. Find one person that actually likes Paris.
I could find one.
Who?
Well, I said I could find one.
I highly doubt it.
I have to go and find them. But
you could find maybe 1 in 10,000.
Look, I don't.
And that's just the 1 in 10,000 is just like obsessed.
I don't remember it being that bad.
The Eiffel Tower, like that's it.
I don't remember it being that bad when I was there.
Yeah, when you were, how old were you when you were there?
Like 10.
Yeah, see, I don't think you understand how bad it's gotten since then. Like again, when you went to France, lovely countryside. That now still got French people in it, but still, the place itself isn't bad. But no, Paris is just, it's, again, filled with French people as well. So that adds on to how bad Paris is. So yeah, there's no chance that Paris is anywhere near. Like if I had the chance to go to, I'd rather go to friggin', anywhere. South Africa.
South Africa.
Yeah, I'd rather go to Antarctica. I'd rather go to...
You're not good with
Zimbabwe.
Cold, you're overestimating.
No, not.
Zimbabwe.
Yeah, rather go to Zimbabwe. Rather go to Somalia. Rather go... Where else?
Tasmania. Surely not Tasmania.
Yeah. Well, actually, there's an arm and an R in one, actually. That's a good question.
Yeah.
Let me think about it. Anyway, we've gone off track. Yeah, in terms of football, I don't know how... Obviously, the Olympics are coming up as well in France. You're excited for that. We'll probably touch on that a bit closer. I think it's still a month out, so we'll touch on that in a couple of weeks. Now, in terms of other sport, there has been a state of origin since we have last spoke. Great game. Absolutely fantastic game. Now, Ashley did his best to give Queensland a couple of points in the second half, but we won't talk about that.
Well, I think we need to talk about it.
The penalty count, I think, was 7 or 8 straight for Queensland, which was a bit bizarre.
Well, to be fair, it was towards us in the first half and towards them in the second.
But it was like slightly towards us in the first half. It was completely towards Queensland in the second half.
Yeah, it was an old-fashioned square-up half.
It was almost like he thought, I don't want the notion.
This on my conscience.
Yeah, like I don't want to be the guy that reffed the game where it was 60-0. Yeah. So yeah, I think it was.
And obviously, I've been Ashley's number one hater for years now. And everyone else is on board it now. It's really great to see the community.
I don't think anyone was against you saying that. I don't think anyone was off the board.
It's just great to see everyone rally around this common cause of having that man out of state of origin.
We'll talk about that. Anyway, yeah, I think in terms of the game itself and the players, I think every player played well. Apart from maybe Jake, but I mean, it's a bit hard for him. He plays about 15 minutes a game,
and he sucks.
Well, look, I don't think he played bad, but I just don't think he had a real massive impact on the game. But yeah, the rest of the team were unreal. I couldn't stop thinking about how good
Dylan Edwards was.
No, don't get me started on Dylan. He was
absolutely
pretty bang average.
Oh my!
Especially first half, he was bang average. Like he did what Dylan Edwards. I picked. Don't you forget, I picked Dylan Edwards in this team.
Yeah, you
for
did.
game 2. Dylan Edwards in a team with actual star players in it, I don't hate.
Perfect.
Yeah, I don't hate at all. I think that's a good selection. But if we would have took Dylan Edwards game 1, we would have got absolutely trounced. Because simply...
Yeah, but we would have lost anyway.
If he was in a team of like Cam McInnes's and Nico Hines's, we'd be in all sorts. But if he's in a team with Mitch Moses and Latrell Mitchells and Cam Murray's, and when you add that amount of talent and X factor to that team, I think having a steady guy at the back, steady Eddie, a bang average top 10 fullback in the league.
Steady Dylan Eddie.
Yeah, top 10, top 12 fullback in the league. I think that's advantageous. There's nothing wrong with that.
You go for the top 12 in Origin.
Yeah, it's a lot. Jaden Campbell's probably a bit ahead of him. Some of those guys. Terrell Sloan.
There's no one ahead of him.
Yeah,
not even Reece Walsh.
Maybe
not even Ponga.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe I put David Armstrong in there.
David Armstrong. Who is that?
The Knights fullback.
Oh.
Yeah. It's a bit of arm and ahhing.
Jordan Rapana?
Jai Gray from the Rabbitohs, maybe. I mean, how good has, what's his name looked? Your man who came back from the Tigers for the Panthers.
Dane Laurie.
How good is he?
Very good. Very good.
Is he replacing Dylan Edwards, do you reckon, full time? Dylan Edwards to the bench?
Well, look, Dylan's getting up there, and we don't want to keep him past his use-by date.
Yeah, so sack Dylan Edwards, bring in Dane Laurie.
No, but he could play. He could be 6 for us next year. That's a possibility.
Yeah, absolutely. But anyway, we're getting off track. The game itself, I thought, there were a couple of standouts. Did you have any sort of standouts that
standouts? I mean, obviously, Latrell was great. Now, I was a little bit apprehensive, but I did say we need him in the team. Played very well. Killed it. It's just... And Latrell gets a lot of stick, and there's times where I'm really like, what is this guy doing? I dislike you right now. But in Origin, when he scores the try and he's screaming, it's pure euphoria.
Oh, yeah.
I imagine that's what ecstasy feels like.
You imagine?
Yeah, I imagine.
Yeah. So, okay. Anyway.
But yeah, just seeing Queensland get pummeled into the face of the earth there's no better feeling. It's just...
There is no better feeling. I think, obviously, for us growing up watching State of Origin, it was pretty grim. And we might have touched on the podcast before how bad it was watching State of Origin for years and years and years, how we lost every year, and it was depressing. And Queensland were just tougher than us. They just rubbed it in our faces as well. So to see Latrell back in there, he just embodies what I think New South Wales is about, and winning what State of Origin. I think we appreciate winning in State of Origin way more than Queensland do, and I think that's not talked about enough, and how much the state and the players care about winning for New South Wales and putting on that badge and trying to beat Queensland and sort of being that underdog. And Queensland like to play that they're the underdog every series, but that's not true. They've always been the team that's to beat. New South Wales have always, in my lifetime, been the underdog, and I think having a guy like Latrell in there who works hard, who isn't afraid to pummel a player, but has that X factor offensively as well. And you see him at centre, he's just such a good centre.
Fuck him off at fullback. I mean, seriously.
People say that, but he's also a very good fullback. Like, he's better than whatever Rabbitohs
he hasn't played centre in how long? 4 years?
Yeah. He's the best
straight away. He's the best centre in the world.
He is the best centre in the world. Like, if he played centre for the rest of the season, he'd be the best centre in the league. And you saw that at the Roosters. He was unreal at the Roosters, and he just wanted fullback money, and he wanted to play fullback for another team, and he went to the Rabbitohs. And look, he's been pretty solid. I think the down years have been, or the down games have been sort of overhyped almost. I think he's been sort of overly criticised for some of his down plays. And look, he's not the type of player like a Tedesco or a Dylan Edwards that's going to be the hardest worker on the team in terms of the amount of run meters, but he is an impact player, and I think at centre he's allowed to do that. I thought Mitch Moses, obviously man of the match, was insane as well. Is there a talking point? Now, we've talked about this a bit. Next year, does Nathan Cleary get replaced for Mitch Moses?
No.
I was on that train 2 years ago, by the way. I just want to put that out there.
What about game 3?
What? No.
What if Cleary's fit?
Cleary doesn't play in any circumstance whatsoever. He is out of the team forever.
Forever?
As long as Mitch
You're
Moses...
not having Cleary in next year?
No.
Are you insane?
No.
So you're having Luai again?
I'd have Luai or Burden, probably.
That's insane.
That's not crazy.
That is crazy.
How?
Cleary's the best player in the world.
He's played bang average about 5 times.
He hasn't played Origin in 2 years.
He is the most bang average Origin player I've ever seen. He doesn't do anything. Like, great player for Penrith. It's terrible for New South Wales. How many times have we lost when he's in the team?
Like twice.
A lot. He is crap.
We've won 3 times when he's in it.
Yeah, but because that's the talent that we had was so good around him.
Yeah, including him. So
it's a Dylan Edwards argument. When Dylan Edwards is with players that are talented and unreal around him, sure, he can play well. But if he was playing in a team that needed someone to step up, he needed to step up in so many occasions, and he just hasn't. But Mitch Moses did.
I'll tell you right now, if Cleary was in that team, he would have been man of the match as well.
No.
Yes. They were on the front foot. They fucked the forwards up.
Latrell would have been man of the match.
No. Cleary would have done a similar level performance to Moses if he was in that team. For sure. I would pick Moses at 6, Cleary at 7.
But they're both 7s, so I don't agree with that.
Cooper Cronk and Jonathan Thurston are both 7s. They're the best players. You chuck them in.
Yeah, but I don't think Moses can play 6. I think he's very much an organising half. I just don't
Organise the left-hand side, mate.
No, I think he works so well switching, and you saw in the game how he sort of identified off scrum plays, the open.
Let's not forget, Parramatta are last on the ladder. They just lost to Newcastle.
But Mitch Moses was unreal in that game.
Yeah, well, they lost.
But he was insane.
You know, when Cleary's unreal, we win.
Yeah, because you have an unreal team. They have a fucking crap team. Parramatta suck.
Yeah, and you know what makes a good team? The halfback, making everyone else better.
And Mitch Moses has been injured the whole year. What do you want him to do?
Maybe play better and win some games for Para.
I would pick Mitch Moses over Nathan Cleary.
Fuck no. No. There's
Absolutely.
no way.
I don't think it's going to happen, but I would absolutely do it.
Off one game? What if okay, we've still got to win in Suncorp, by the way, which is a massive task.
Yeah. Well, okay, put it this way. If Mitch Moses does another man of the match performance and wins in Suncorp, are you seriously not
He's going to be in the team next year for sure.
But are you seriously not picking him over Nathan Cleary?
No.
Okay, if Madge is the coach next year and he's decided Luai's in the team, he wants a natural number 6 in the team, and it's between Moses and Cleary.
I think Luai's gone next year because he's going to the Tigers.
Okay,
so
if he wants a natural 6... Anyway, the case remains the same. If he wants a natural 6 in there and he's picking between Cleary and Moses, who are you picking? And if Moses wins next week, or not next week, a couple of weeks...
Cleary, I'm picking Cleary.
That's criminal, mate. That's criminal.
It's not criminal. He's the best player in the world.
He doesn't show it on New South Wales stage. He does not.
It doesn't matter. You got to give him the chance.
I wouldn't. He's been given friggin' 20 chances. He's played he's been playing since he was 19 instead of Origin, and he's looked great in about 3 games. He's played
good.
about 18.
That's pretty good.
The other games he's been absolutely
but we've been getting destroyed by Queensland in those games. It's not like last Wednesday we destroyed them. They had no opportunity. We were on the front foot the entire game, well, the first half at least. And Moses played very well, yes. But Cleary, you cannot tell me Cleary would not have won that game if he was in that team.
I can.
You think we wouldn't have won?
No, he would have won.
Exactly.
I think... I just don't think he's never played well. He has played well, but he hasn't played well consistently enough for New South Wales. And I can have that opinion, and I can say that I'd rather have Moses over Nathan Cleary. I think his kicking game's better. I do. I think his kicking game is better.
No.
The amount of times he can bomb that ball, and it just...
Yeah, but Cleary floats it. Moses is end-over-end bombs.
Yeah, but okay, Cleary can float a ball, but he can't kick it as far as
And his short kicking game is the best.
Mitch Moses has looked unreal short kicking.
They're both very good. They're both top 3, but...
And Mitch Moses is faster. He has more of a threat to the line as well. Nathan Cleary is a great player, but never played well consistently enough for New South Wales. So I don't think it's bad to have...
Moses has played, 3 games for New South Wales? And he was shit in 1 and a half.
Anyway,
game
3. How do we win?
How do we win? It's very hard to say how we win. Obviously, we don't have a good record in deciders at Suncorp. Haven't won since 2005. Joey John's greatest game of all time, a lot of people like to say, by a State of Origin player. But obviously, game 2 is very promising. So changes, everyone's saying don't make any changes to the team.
Yeah.
I get that sentiment, but also Jake Trbojevic sucks and he's just a wasted player.
You can't pop the captain for the state of origin.
I know, it was just
decider.
such an error making him captain, though. Such an error.
I don't think it's an error. I think you can just drop him from captain next year. I don't think it's an error. Really.
Okay, well, yeah, but we've got to carry him through this game.
Well, it was showed you don't need to carry him. I think Payne Haas is a big minute prop.
But
Spencer Lanu has played really significant minutes as well at Origin. So, and Isaiah Yeo can play front row as well, and he played a lot of minutes last week. So,
yeah. So, okay, well, fine. Keep the team the same then. But what if Turbo's fit?
No way.
No?
No. He looks... If he was fully healthy for the whole season, I wouldn't pick him.
Really?
No. Where does he play?
Well,
are you going to play him at...
You can't... Like, Stephen Crichton's gone to that level where he's jumped...
Better than him.
He's jumped Latrell and Turbo at this point. He's ahead of everyone.
Oh, yeah, I'd agree, actually.
Yeah. Like, he's dead set number one center.
Mm.
So, the only place I could think of is 14 for Turbo.
But he's not versatile enough to play 14. In my
well,
opinion,
he can play fullback, center, wing.
I think. Look, Connor didn't have as big of an impact last week, or this week, sorry, for the game. But I don't know how you don't pick him, because in a Suncorp decider, it's going to be so physical. Someone's going to get knocked out, and if a lock gets knocked out, he can play there. If a half gets knocked out, he can play there. If a center gets knocked out, he can play there. You know, he can play essentially every position.
Would you pick...
And not just like...
What about... Would you pick Turbo at 18th man?
No.
No?
No.
What about Cleary at 18th man?
No.
No?
No. I'd pick Burden 18th man. Mr. 18th man himself.
Well, they don't pick him there anymore because Serrano got mad. So
They don't do that anymore. No, I'd honestly pick Burden 18. I think Burden... Pretty harshly, he's not in the team, actually, but... I'd pick him 18th. Turbo, I think, has lost a lot of his speed that he had once time ago. So, yeah, I just wouldn't have him in the team.
Fair enough.
And you keep the same team. You keep the winning team that played.
But it is tempting, though, when you've got those...
But it was... What was that?
Guns there.
But it was... When we had the same thing, we won in Perth. Remember a couple of years ago when... And then... But we had... a bunch of players that probably shouldn't have been there, like Wade Graham, and like we had a bunch of players that played really well for that game, and then you're like, are we going to win in Suncorp with that team though? Like that was a tempting one, but this team is really talented. So and there are no real holes. I mean, everyone's in the form of their life. Angus Crichton, who we haven't mentioned, is in the form of his life. Unreal. You know, Spencer Lanu's in the form of his. I honestly don't. Payne Haas was great last game, so. I honestly don't see a reason to change it up at all.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Queensland, on the other hand, a bit of pressure for the first time for Billy. He looked a bit flustered in the press conference, which you love to see. It's just, you love to see it, really. In terms of their team, there's talk that Fafita needs to come in. There's talk that maybe Valentine Holmes is over the hill.
Yeah. Look, Valentine Holmes always seems to play well at Suncorp, so I don't think he'll drop him. But Fafita has to come in. They got absolutely bruised physically in the forward pack. Kafusi just looked out of it. You just looked at that team and you're like, they're a very weak forward pack. Kurt Catewell's in there. It's just, in terms of talent as well as size, it was undersized. And a guy like Fafita, sometimes he's not switched on and sometimes he doesn't play team footy. But if you need someone, it's fourth tackle, you're on your own 30, you need someone to just bruise up 12, 13 metres to get upfield. He's that guy. So, and at the try line, he's such a try threat. Him and Cherry Evans, you can just imagine the headaches he'll cause, because it's like, he is a genuine threat, even on fifth tackle, to pass to Fafita, because he's that bruising of a play, he's that strong, he's that big. He can get to the line easily. So, especially if he's one-on-one with the player. So, I definitely picked Fafita in that team. I think it was harsh from Billy to drop him, especially with he obviously started the season a bit slow, but he really picked it up for the Titans, and the Titans have had very up and down season, but he's been the shining light in that team. So, yeah, you've got to pick him for that game, and it's tough to think of any other changes that you could make for Queensland. I think you've just got to stick with that team. Reece Walsh was bullied in that game. Now, do you drop him at Suncorp? No.
Well, if Ponga's not fit, so you can't. There's no one to drop him for.
Yeah. Well, Hammer. Do you put Hammer fullback?
No, I wouldn't. Because then you're like, who are you putting at center? Like, I guess Cobbo, but
yeah. Do you do that move? Do you put Cobbo center, Hammer
it's
fullback?
harsh to drop Reece Walsh.
Well, look, I mean, he hasn't been that great. I think he's been overrated this year. I think
he hasn't had his best year for sure. Last year he was definitely way better, but
I mean, you look at Brisbane right now, and when Reece Walsh has even played,
they're in Brisbane. They could miss the finals. They're in the pits.
Yeah, and without Adam Reynolds, he's not the same player. So it's a bit of, and he looked really bad. Like he didn't have any sort of threat. He got bullied so much. And Hammer is just a try machine, and you can just imagine him around the ruck and just how dangerous and slippery he is.
And Hammer, he just looks. He doesn't look that elusive or
he doesn't look
fast.
threatening. You're like, oh, Hammer's in the team, fine, whatever. And then he scores 2 tries on like a breakaway from the wing or something because he's just so fast.
He doesn't have any like. He doesn't have a Tuivasa-Sheck type of step or anything, but he just sort of
like weaves.
Just,
it's like he's fucking like a dolphin or some shit.
Yeah.
Fins up, baby. Anyway, so Cobbo's an interesting one. I'd be tempted. I would be. However, Valentine Holmes he's hurt me so many times in Origin, and especially at Suncorp. So I would be surprised. But I'd definitely pick Cobbo on as 14 again.
What about Ezra Mam? Do you throw him in? Din?
Well, Din hasn't played well, and I think he hasn't played well all year. I know you stick with the player that's been in the camp the most. I get that it's a Queensland way, but Ezra Mam's just a lot better. Now, is it too small of a team? Do you worry about the defense of that team if you've got Reece Walsh, Ezra Mam, Valentine Holmes?
Ezra Mam's he's not a bad defender. He actually puts shots on.
Yeah, but is it too small though?
And Tom Deere.
I know that, but that's in normal NRL football. When you come, it's a different beast when you come up against like Latrell and Angus Crichton. It's pretty tough.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, I think that wraps it up for today. We've had a long, good chat. Thanks for listening. Anything to cap us off with, or you want to just briefly go over just top of the line? Who's winning, Alex Pereira or Yuri?
I hope Yuri wins. I hope Yuri Bizza wins, but Pereira, you got to go Pereira, favourite.
Yeah, he is Aura himself.
Yeah. Ian Gary versus MVP as well.
Ian Gary's a bit of a controversial figure recently, so, but I think he's a good fighter, so I think I'll go Ian Gary.
Okay.
Don't know the other guys, but just Ian Gary.
Ian Gary. Yeah, that's the. I mean, Brian Ortega, Diego Lopez. You know. No.
Ortega, I do know.
Yeah. He gets beat up in all the title fights.
Yeah, didn't he fight Vulcan nearly choke him out? Yeah. Ortega. Gotta go Ortega.
Yeah, that's about it, I think, for UFC.
Anyways, well, thanks for listening, everyone. Hope you enjoyed. Like and subscribe, and see you later.
Peace out.